Hey, what's up? This is Brandon Simmons from BrandonSimmons.biz. This is my weekly video blog called Bullheaded, a review of the Houston Texans news, as well as a preview of their upcoming game matchups. So this week, the Texans are returning from their bye week, and they'll be going on the road to face the Las Vegas Raiders to get their second win of the season. But before I get into what they need to do for their game plan this week, a couple of things I kind of want to go over. So, first thing, let's just get it off our chest right now. The Jack used to be fired. So, um, Vice President of Football Operations, Jack used to be, he was let go this week. Um, he was with the team for what since 2019 or whatever. But amongst that, we all know all the drama and mess that was associated with his tenure. So, that includes giving Bill O'Brien the position of GM in addition to being the head coach. And that also includes kind of influencing him to make that trade with DeAndre Hopkins. So, and that's probably just the tip of the iceberg. So, a couple of things about this, and even with this firing, I'll just say this. Well, a couple things. All right, I'm bugging right now. I should have had my iced coffee already. Anyway, but um, but yeah, a couple things I want to say about this. It was surprising, uh, and I'll say it was surprising in the fact that it was the middle of the season, and I haven't, and to top it all off, I haven't even heard anything from Jack Easterby, or about him, since probably since before this whole Deshaun Watson stuff kind of really blew up. People were on Easterby, real heavy, and when this whole Watson scandal kind of came about last year, things just kind of quieted down on him, and everybody was focusing on what was going on with Watson. So um, there's that, and also things have been it's been I would say things overall have been on a positive outlook for the Texans. We're in a rebuild mode, and we're kind of liking what's being started within this rebuild. So, fans obviously they don't like the losing part of it, but they really do appreciate the young talent that's out there performing and trying to be and trying to be a building block for this team's future success. So of course they're not going to be, oh, fire Shack used to be, blah, 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 blah. What I'm saying? Things like that. Things are kind of going good right now, and there's nothing to just really just complain or throw a pitchfork over. Um, so yeah, him just getting fired, like at this time, it was more surprising than anything, because nobody expected it. And like I said, there was nothing to really just kind of be complaining about at this time. And the fact they did it during the middle of the season, um, I think that's more telling. To me, it is. It's like, like I'm just mentioned. What I'm saying, we're rebuilding, and things are looking on the up right now. And as soon as things are looking on the up, you're gonna get rid of the guy that was associated with part of the reason that we're in a rebuild right now. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was telling on his part. And a lot of people are giving Cal McNair his props and kudos for letting him go and just trying to remove somebody that's represented like a blemish to the organization. So, what I'm saying? I guess, big ups to him for making that decision. Unfortunately, you don't want to see anybody, what I'm saying, get fired. So, best of luck to Eastery on wherever he goes. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, whatever yes, he's done some things that, kind of ran the organization uh, down a little, or not a little bit, but it ran the organization down. But, what I'm saying? At the end of the day, thinking outside of a sports perspective, you don't want to wish no harm or nothing as ill fated as getting fired on anybody. So, best of luck and prayers and well wishes to him and his family. Um, that's probably the one thing that I had really outside of the game plan. And I almost forgot about that. Like I said, it was just a surprising thing that came about, and I had a whole bunch of other stuff going on this week. So yeah, my other thing is, should the Texans be active at the trade deadline? And I probably should have left that out after I put down this Easterby note, but I know it's trade deadline season, and it's coming up. Well, it ain't coming up. It's here now. You saw what Carolina did this week. They got rid of Robbie Anderson. They sent away Christian McCaffrey. So it's that time of the year where teams are, they're kind of clearing out their space, clearing out cap space, getting ready for their rebuilds. For some teams, and just trying to maybe retool for a few teams it's probably what I'm saying, retooling to gear up for the playoff run or gear up to compete for a playoff run, things like that. So to answer that question, should the Texans be active at the trade deadline? Right now, I'm gonna say no. I think we just kind of need to keep going through what pieces we have, and what I'm saying, see what what I'm saying, what we like, what we don't like, things like that. Um, as the week goes on, it'll probably, you know, somebody probably say like, oh, such and such up for trade, and trade rumors they have no, they can start, as early as tomorrow, as quick as yesterday, actually. You know what I'm saying? Like, as it gets around that time, that deadline time, a lot of people are going to be talking about, like, oh, such and such contract year, he might get moved. They, so and so team might not pay him, so they might move him at the deadline and all this other stuff. I know Roquan Smith, I think, had asked for a trade like way back when, and I haven't heard too much about that yet. So I'm wondering if that'll come up. I mean, it's not Texans related directly, um, but it's just an example of like how the deadline can be. You know what I'm saying? If sooner or later by the close of Monday Night Football this weekend, everybody and their mama will have some type of trade rumor thrown in the mix. So that's my answer for right now. They should not be active at the deadline as of right now. We'll see what happens after this week concludes and after we find a player that we hate this particular week. So I'm gonna go right ahead and jump into my personal game plan for the Texans this weekend. So, like I said, they're going to be facing the Raiders, and the Raiders have not had a great season at all. Um, the Texans, they've had expectations put on them this year, but they're not the same or as high as the expectations that were put on the Raiders this year. The Raiders, obviously they're coming off a quick postseason run after they had to kind of get in on the last week of the season last year, but they are, what I'm saying, they haven't had a great start. They're 1-4 right now, and things just ain't looking like things just ain't looking too good in a lot of areas as it was expected. So, they have Derek Carr, obviously. They signed Devontae Adams in the offseason. I think they signed Chandler Jones as well in the offseason. Max Crosby is over there. I'll get more into him in a little bit. But they also have a new head coach, Josh McDaniels. And so, Josh McDaniels, he's not really not really admired for his head coaching abilities. So that could play a part in why they're 1-4. Great offensive coordinator. Amazing at that. This is the guy that was had Tom Brady for almost 20 years. You know what I'm saying? And he so he put in an offensive system for the Patriots where it's like they they go in, they execute it, and next thing you know, there's like Super Bowls lying everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So, um, great offensive coordinator, not so much head coach. So, with that being said, here are three things Texans have to do to win this game this weekend. So, number one, keep Max Crosby away from Davis Mills. And look, we we seen it with the Chargers. I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago. I think I mentioned how the announcer had made a comment that you know Tunsil and Kenyon Green, our O line was looking a little bit shook whenever Khalil Mack was lining up on them when we played the Chargers. I'm not saying Max Crosby is is Khalil Mack. Uh, and if he is, then my apologies, but he's definitely a force, and he's definitely productive. Max Crosby is second in the league in sacks, and he also leads the league in tackles for loss. So that means that he's in the backfield. When that whistle blows, he's right there. He's going to meet your players. He's going to meet the ball carrier in the backfield. So the best thing to do is just kind of keep the protection has to be great. That's me saying keeping Max Crosby awful away from Davis Mills. Just another way of saying like detection. The protection has to be great. Um, Simple as that. Um, I think the Jaguars game they gave up like 4 sacks. That can't happen. Not against this guy. You don't want to give them the chance to win this game. So, yeah, let's make sure we're protecting Davis Mills at all costs. Number two, you have to win the red zone battle. So the Raiders are like last in red zone defense. I think they give up like 82% of red zone drives. Their opponents have an 82% success rate against them in the red zone, against their defense in the red zone. So they the Texans have to win this. They have to win this battle. If anything else, I mean, the and when they get in the red zone, they have to be aggressive. That playbook. What I'm saying, that play calling, and it has to be sharp in the red zone. Make sure we can do anything and everything we want to, but if it doesn't call for that, make sure it's something simple that can get us the ball in the end zone. It's what I'm saying, just simple as that. And you got to be to get in the red zone. You have to be aggressive to get in the red zone. Go out there and compete, but we'll get into all that. So definitely must be aggressive in the red zone and attack that Raiders defense. Attack that Raiders red zone defense. Um, Third and final thing the Texans have to do is regain the energy from the Jaguars game. So I'm saying going Texans started off going back and forth with the punts and all that, making defensive stops with the Jaguars. But the most important thing about that game is that they were competitive throughout the whole game. It wasn't no late first quarter start, do something in the second quarter, take half the third quarter off, try to do something in the fourth quarter, and just chill for the rest of the fourth quarter. No, they actually competed throughout that entire game. And that was good to see. That's what you have to do. You can't take off in quarters, in this game. You know what I'm saying? You have to compete. Um, so to do that, they have to maintain that competitiveness from the last game. You know what I'm saying? Go back. I've mentioned this a couple times before. Probably a halfway catchphrase by now, but you know what I'm saying? Learn from your positives, or however I said it. You know what I'm saying? Do what you did that worked. You know what I'm saying? It's simple as that. And take those and like what you did with that work, take that, what's positive, take that, and just go in there and build on that for your game plan. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure you execute whatever you did though. Make sure you execute it with high energy. Be high level with your competitiveness when executing this, because look, as much as the Raiders are down, they have got a lot of weapons over there. You know what I'm saying? They got some guys over there that are like, really just they'll they'll knock you out if you let them. Don't let the record fool you. If they really like come together and just figure something out, they could really get things going. So Texans just have to keep that competitive edge from the last game and bring it into this one. So, just to recap, keep Max Crosby away from Davis Mills, or get somebody in there to kind of help with the blocking and the protection for Davis Mills, so he can get the ball down the field. Win in the red zone, please. You got to make sure that you're winning in the red zone. Be aggressive. Excuse me. Be aggressive and attack that Raiders red zone defense. Regain the energy from the Jaguars game. So, like I said, Raiders, they've been having a rough season on their own. So, what I'm saying? Just keep that energy up. That's what you have to do. Keep that energy up, keep it going, and maintain that competitiveness. Stay competitive. Do not take quarters off. Stay competitive. Stay on the behinds, man. And you know what? You do all three of these things, you damn well might win this game. So yeah, and that'll be a great boost to come out of your bye week and get a win after you got a win going into your bye week. So that's all I got for y'all this week. Thank y'all for watching this week. Please like my page. If you're watching on Facebook, it's Brandon, Facebook.com/Brandon blog. If you are watching on YouTube, just, click the like button, click subscribe, you know what I'm saying? And I'll be coming out with these throughout the rest of the season. So with that being said, I'm Brandon Simmons for Brandon Simmons.biz. Holla black.